welcome. My name is Chris from ChristopherHole.com and welcome to today's whiteboard where the topic is self-rehabilitation. Now this isn't a video to say don't ever go and see a health professional or a therapist. This is a video to upskill your knowledge, your experience with aches, pains and injuries so you can work better together with a therapist or with a health professional. There may be occasions where you don't work with them. That's another incident where you might need to have a better understanding of how your body's working and how you're experiencing the pain and the ache and where it is and what you might need to do about it. So again, it's not there to take away the therapist or the other professional. It's there to enhance how you work with them, because they may be saying things that you don't quite understand, or they may be saying things you don't quite know what they mean, and it's very much there. It's to help you understand, so you're then able to take forward what they're saying and improve your rehabilitation and your recovery after an ache, pain or an injury. We're going to be talking about something called fascia, and it's another connective tissue of the body that we're building on top of muscles with. So you may have obviously heard of muscles and ligaments and tendons, where there's this another material called fascia, and it's something that connects them all together, and I'll explain that in a little bit more detail when we go on to the next slide. But what we are going to talk about, we're going to talk about three different things. We're going to talk about, first of all, the postural function, then we're going to talk about the movement function, and then we're going to talk about the areas of tightness. Because I'm going to be talking about one of the fascial lines. This is what they're called, fascial lines. So I'm going to be talking about one of them. There are many over the body, but this is one of them, and it's a fascial line that runs down the back of your body. So, but I'll explain that in a little bit more detail in a second. And before I get into that, I just want to mention my social media, which is Christopher Hole, or at Christopher Hole, which is on Twitter, Christopher Hole Training on Facebook, and Christopher Hole on Instagram. So if you want to come along there, like and follow, it'd be great to have you there. Alternative, if you like what you hear on this video, just like, share and comment on this video and subscribe to the channel. It'd be great to have you there. Obviously then you can get a bit more of a direct feed to the videos that I'm releasing. Alternatively, come on to ChristopherHole.com. I put all these videos on my website, so they're all on there in blog format, so I've got some written text with it. So yeah, come along there. Obviously my services are there, newsletter, you can come and meet me on a one-to-one basis or come to one of my workshops, so on and so forth. So all that's on the website. So if you want to come along there and just have a look around, then please do come to ChristopherHole.com. So back to today's topic, which is self-rehabilitation. So slide number one, with regards to self-rehabilitation, is basically just talking about the fascial line, so we can get a better understanding of the areas of tightness and what we need to do to be able to overcome the areas of tightness or pain or injury or the aches that we might have. So first of all, the fascial line is called the superficial back line, and it basically runs from the bottom of your foot, where your knuckles are in your toes, all the way along the arch of your foot, around the heel bone, up through the calf, up through the hamstring, up through the erector spinae on the back, up over the head and into the forehead. So it basically sort of goes all the way along the back of your body, the underside of your foot, back of your body, wraps around your head and joins on at the top. So for example, if we just say it supports your body when upright. So when these muscles are contracting, they're keeping you upright. It prevents you from sort of falling forwards, so into this, that would be called flexion. You are, at the moment, you are extended here. If you were to bend over and touch your toes, you would be flexed. So this prevents that from happening. So when we go down and touch our toes, what you might find is that you go midway down your shin. So the end of your fingers get midway down your shin. Now, if you were to roll a little golf ball or a little tennis ball or a hockey ball or some kind of ball under your foot and then retest touching your toes, you might find that you go down a little bit further. And that's no different than just making a muscle more supple. So if we make your hamstrings more supple, we'll find that they'll elongate a little bit further. Now, if we take that and just put it into the metaphor of fascia, or the idea of fascia, and if we make it a little bit longer, you'll be able to bend over further. But all we've done is we've just made the little bit under the foot longer, and it's already allowed you to go an extra inch or half an inch further down your shin. So if we were to make this whole thing a little bit longer and a little bit more supple, you'll be able to get down that much further, if that makes sense. So it's playing a role in posture all through the day. So whenever you're sat down, you're stood up, whatever it might be. So what it's done is it lays down extra sheets of fascia, as in the Achilles tendon, the hamstrings, the sacrotuberous ligament, the thoracolumbar fascia, which is in the lower part of the back, the erector spinae, and the occipital ridge. So all the way up, it's slightly thicker because it's working that much more to stop you from falling forwards, because it's what's keeping you upright. So this line is quite an important line, hence why I've done it first. And I'm going to be doing more as we go through the weeks on these different fascial lines. But its movement function is, as I've mentioned, it's to create extension and hyperextension. So hyperextension is just where you would like arch your back and create a sort of hyperextended arch here. This is extension. Standing up straight is known as extension. Hyperextension is when you go into sort of arching your whole body. With the exception of the knees. Obviously, it will flex the knee because it will bring your heel up to your hamstring or your buttock or whatever it might be. So this is the kind of idea. When we're now talking about therapy, self-rehabilitation, aches, pains, injuries, you might start hearing people saying things like your body's connected, your muscles are connected from your head to your toe. The site of pain isn't necessarily the site of the injury, and things like that. Now, when they're talking about that, or when they're saying those things, generally they're talking about these fascial lines. So what you might find is aches and pains in one area, but if we release tension in another area, it releases the ache or the pain in the area of the, say, Achilles tendon. So we might be experiencing pain down here. So what we might do is we might roll the bottom of the foot, or we might roll the calf, or we might release something in the hip. And that will just ease the pressure because it will release the tension through this chain of muscles, if you will. So what we find in the areas of tightness is the Soleus and the Gastrocemius, which is the soleus is the muscle that sits underneath the gastroc. This is the big gastroc muscle here. The hamstring, it's also affecting lordosis, so you'll get tightness through the erector spinae and possibly tightness through the psoas, which isn't necessarily directly associated with this one, but it will play a role. So you've got the psoas, you've then got the upper back and the upper neck as well. So you've got those areas of tightness. So when you're talking about self-rehabilitation and aches and pains and just generally keeping a good health to the posterior chain of muscles, these are the types of areas that you'll want to be focusing on. Now, if you've got tight hamstrings, don't just focus on the tight hamstrings. Focus on gastrocnemius. Focus on the lordosis in the lower part of the back and the hips. Focus on the upper back and the upper neck. So what we're doing is we're not just releasing tension in the hamstrings, we're releasing tension below it and above it. So when you're going to a therapist, when you're going to a professional, they might say start working on these different areas. If you can start understanding where they're saying to release, you might then start finding out more about your aches, your pains, your injuries, and why they're coming about, because there might be tension elsewhere creating a pain in a different area of your body. So it's very much understanding that yes, your body is connected. Yes, your muscles are connected, because here we have lots of different muscles, but we do have one fascial line that's coming over the or up the back and over the top of the body. So it's very much understanding that where we do have lots of muscles, we also have one chain of muscles. So it's making that sort of a paradigm shift from lots of muscles to one fascial line. Now that's not to negate the individual muscles, but it's just adding a layer on top and saying, yes, I have lots of muscles, but I also have chains of muscles that form these fascial lines, that if I release the tension in other areas of the fascial line, it can help my individual muscles. So that's kind of the perspective we need to start taking with regards to our self-rehabilitation towards our aches, pains, and our injuries. So by all means, take this, use it, start to explore this whole area of the body and start to find other areas of tightness. but also notice, is this other area of tightness helping with my bad ankle or with my bad knee or with my bad back? So start exploring and start experimenting with areas of tightness throughout your body and see which ones tend to make your ache, pain or injury get better quicker. So start to think about it in that way. Try not to take it as it's the magic pill, but think of it as an experiment and explore and go and get to know your body and how it's reacting to certain methods of rehabilitation and things like that. So hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully it's gained a little bit more insight and understanding of your body and how it's put together and how it's working. I will be putting more of these videos together in self-rehabilitation and how you can sort of speed that recovery up and get yourself fit and healthy and fitter and healthier than you've ever been before. So many thanks for watching. My name is Chris from ChristopherHole.com. I'll speak to you in the next whiteboard.